Hello, today is Easter, and I don't really celebrate, and I had kind of forgotten the fact that it was Easter. And I was reminded this morning at about 3:30 when I woke up thinking, oh yeah, my plans to go to the grocery store this morning and pick up some things because my refrigerator is pretty empty. That might not work out. So today I'm on my morning walk, and there is a little market called the Spar at the edge of town that might be open. And if so, I will pick up a few things. I'm not going to go hungry, believe me, I'm not going to go hungry, but it would be nice to have something other than a can of sardines and some beans. Maybe some pasta. I had pasta yesterday, so I want to kind of change it up. And so today I'm on my walk to search for food. And if all else fails, maybe I'll go to a boulangerie and get a quiche or something like that, or some bread. Oh, and look what is happening here. It looks like there's something going on for Easter. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Wow. Perfect timing. Okay, so my little Sunday vlog was a little bit interrupted by Sunday Mass, Easter Mass, but that was interesting. I got some footage of the Mass today, and I'm going to share that with you probably at the end of this video because I'm not speaking, and many of you might not want to watch, what went on there. But if you do want to see, then you can stay tuned at the end. I'm going to end the video, end my portion of the video, and then share the footage of the service or part of the service so that you can see what it's like here. So, I was talking about how I forgot that today was Easter and that the stores would be closed here. The grocery stores would be closed. It's Sunday, and typically they're open from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Sundays, but on holidays they're closed. So, as I said, I'm in search of a store that's open to pick up, at least something different. I have some food, and I'm not going to go hungry, as I said, but I don't like the feeling of not having a little bit of choice or of something that I want to eat, because I can eat the same thing I ate yesterday, but it feels a little constrictive, and I so decided to come on my morning walk and seek out food if I can. There in France, in the spring, there are a lot of things in bloom. And we have these plane trees in the center of town. And sometimes we get a lot of wind. And the past couple of days have been really windy. Now, today is calm, which is nice. But when you've got the pollen from the trees and the flowers and all the stuff that is in bloom here, and you've got that wind blowing, and it's not a gentle wind, it's a serious wind here. That pollen gets in your eyes and in your nose, and it's not really a pleasant thing. And yesterday, was it yesterday or maybe the day before yesterday? Because I think yesterday was a little rainy. I think it was the day before yesterday. I was out for an afternoon walk, and I saw people sitting out at cafes. The wind was blowing, and it was just so unpleasant. I couldn't see how they could really be enjoying themselves at the cafe. But we've got a wind here called La Tramontana, which is, France loves to name her winds. There's the Mistral, but we get the Tramontana. And it can be fierce. And people say that where I am is the wind is less strong than in Perpignan. And I don't know about that. It might be the case, but the wind here is still pretty strong. So, if you're looking to find another place to live, be that in the States or in another country, you're going to want to, of course, know what the climate is like, the temperature, what the seasons are like. But you might also want to think about, is there wind? How windy is it? And what is that like? And is that something you're going to be able to tolerate? Because I'll tell you, when I first realized that Perpignan and this region was windy, it was a rude awakening. Now, in a recent vlog, I kind of took this walk in reverse because this Spar little market that is open all day on Sundays, on non-holiday Sundays, and it remains to be seen if it'll be open today or not, is, as I said, on the outskirts of town near Devil's Bridge. And I took you on a walk to Devil's Bridge in reverse. And so this is kind of like the end of that last video. Now this is the month of April 2025, and it has been crazy busy. Started off on April 2nd when I went to my trip to Nice and Antibes and Italy. And so that was April 2nd. And from the 2nd to the 10th, I was traveling. And then I got back and had to prepare for my intern. My intern started, so that kind of gave me more work to do because while I'm getting help and I will have more time on my hands to write or rewrite or revise my book, I have to get her up to speed. So that took time. I had a live stream that I did. I had a recording of a podcast with Seppi of She Hit Refresh, and that's going to be coming out at the end of May, and I'll keep you posted for that. I had my Women Rising Roundtable, and it seems like there's just so much going on, and it's such a good feeling to have so much energy and excitement and things to look forward to in my business. And the pace is intense, I have to tell you. I think that I'm going to block off the last week of April so that I can kind of catch my breath and regroup and do kind of a look back on how things are going, what things I might want to change so that I don't get into this rut of not being strategic, which I am guilty of doing. I think one thing this intern is definitely helping me with, and so my last intern last year also helped me with this, was it helped me to kind of take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And so I think the last week of April is a week that I'm going to block off and try to have as few appointments as possible so that I can do that, along with writing or working on my book, because I've been saying I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to get that first chapter revised and in good shape. And that is not happening. That has not happened. And we're almost at the end of April. And I'm so ready to get this book over the finish line. I'm so ready to find a literary agent. I'm so ready to have this book traditionally published. But sometimes it doesn't feel like I'm doing what I need to do in order to get that done. And so I really need to get some focused time to do that. It's another beautiful day to come out here to Devil's Bridge. You hear the river in the background. I'm gonna take a peek here so you can see it again. I can never get enough of this, and maybe you can't either. Now, I am just off learning that I passed the DELF B2 exam, and it feels so amazing still. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to continue kind of doing the things I did to really get up to speed to have success with that exam. And that was watching, short YouTube videos like news stories, and then video recording myself and saying back in French what I understood, and learning new terms and phrases, and really just continue that training that I could sense got me to a higher level, right? That focused attention. But I was thinking, but how am I going to have the time to do that? Well, as I said, on Monday, my intern started, and when I interviewed her, I interviewed her in English because she is helping me with my social media, and I wanted to make sure that her English, there was a high level of English skills that she had, and she's amazing. I can see that even in this first week that we have here, that she's been working for me. But during the interview, I said, now, if we work together, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to hold our meetings in French, because I want to get better at French. I want to speak less haltingly, because one of the things that I don't get is a lot of practice just speaking for long periods of time in French. And so I don't necessarily have the confidence that I would like to have. And so that is what we are doing. And this first week has been really pretty amazing. I think we're speaking 85% of the time in French. And the other 15% needs to be in English because we're talking about social media posts or what needs to be written here or there. And I need to say it in English. But I'm really proud of myself for catching myself when I am, starting to just lean on the English. Doesn't even feel really good because for me, I love the challenge of, going even further with the language. It just feels so good to me that it's such a exercise in personal growth. And so when I find myself leaning on the English, it's not as much fun, actually. Yeah, it's hard when I'm struggling. I don't know what the word is. But it's also fun. It's a great opportunity for her, too, because she's learning English words and expressions that she doesn't know. Not many, because she's, like I said, on top of it. But it's really a good experience. So the moment of truth is here. Now, this is the entrance to Saray. It's a little field across the way where they play boule from time to time. It looks like the lights are on here. This is the spa. It looks like the lights are on here. But does that mean they're open? The door is open. It is open. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick up just a few things. I'm not going to do a big haul. I'm just going to get something to augment what I have at home so that I can feel like I can have a nice Easter meal. So stay tuned. I think maybe I'll get a pizza. Now these pizzas the boxes are big and these are frozen. So I'm going to have to eat this as soon as I get back because this is not going to fit in my freezer. Believe it or not. Oh, maybe some chips. Maybe I'll get some chips too. Let's see. A little section over here with little knickknacks. I need anything like this? Paintbrushes, batteries. So I just did a little bit of shopping. I got some supplies. I feel better. Got some chips. Got frozen pizza. Got a head of lettuce. and a small bottle of Coke that I really don't need, but that I wanted. So had a conversation with the cashier and thanked him for being open. Told him that I'd forgotten that today was a holiday. And so he's like, no, we're open every day. So I feel good. I feel good now that I know that I can have my pizza for lunch and don't necessarily have to go to the grocery store first thing in the morning. Tomorrow, even though the cashier told me, oh yeah, and tomorrow's a holiday too. Hello.
You from?
Pardon?
You from?
I'm from the United States, Virginia.
Virginia?
Yes. Do you know me? So I just ran into a man who, was passing me on the street, and he was, he waved at me. And now I have to wonder if the people who wave to me, like they know me, if they know me, like from YouTube. And so I asked him, and he told me his story, sad story, and we started talking in English because he heard me, vlogging in English, and then he said, "Excuse my English, I don't speak English well." And then I said, "Oh, we can speak in French," and so we carried on a conversation in French. And he was telling me, how he was married to a black woman from New York, and she has since passed, and that he's been battling cancer for 6 months, and that he has been fighting with, Kanigu has fresh snow on it. You see it in the distance. And that he hasn't been paid by the state or by France for a long time, and that he thinks that next month that he will be reimbursed 40,000 euros. I don't know the situation. I don't know if it's true, but that was the story that he was telling me, and that, he hadn't eaten since, I don't know, Friday. Here it is Sunday, Thursday or Friday, and here it is Sunday. And I didn't have coins on me, small coins on me. I have a $20 bill, but, and so he said he hadn't eaten since a few days. And so I had just come back from the little store, and I had bought some lunch meat, and I thought, well, I could give that to him. I said, I don't have any coins, but, I can give you something that I just bought. And he's like, no, I'm in a strict regime, so I can't take it. So, I know, it was interesting. It was just so weird to have somebody just open up to me on the street like that and share that. And made me a little bit sad. But he said that he's still, very sick, but, he was walking pretty fast and he looked pretty healthy. And I told him so. I said, oh, but you look like you're fine. Are you better? And he's like, no, I'm still battling it. So you just never know what people are going through. I'm really excited for the future. I've got so many ideas about my business, still collaborating with Christopher Wells, Dr. Christopher Wells. On March, we did the Plan, Pack, Minimize for a Move Abroad workshop, and that was live, but we have since, it's been recorded and we've edited it, and now that is available for purchase, and I'll put a link to that in the description. It's an amazing online course because we talk about the mindset shift that you're going to need to start getting rid of things that might be sentimental. We give you lots and lots and lots of tools to help you organize and make the downsizing effort more doable. And there's a 36-page workbook that you can download and print and use to help you stay the course on this big undertaking of getting rid of your things before you move. And one of the things that for me, when I downsized for my move abroad, it didn't feel as hard as I think it feels for some people, because a few years earlier I'd cleared out my dad's house after he died. And while a lot of the things in his house I wasn't attached to, they were still my dad's things. And so it was hard. And there were things that I wanted to keep because, that was my dad's, and I like this, and that was my dad's. And I absorbed a lot of his stuff, things that probably I should have let go of. And then 3 years later, my mom died, and I cleaned out the house that I grew up in, and there were so many more things that had meaning to me because they had been a part of my life. And but I couldn't take them because I had already, it's opportunity cost, right? I'd already taken on way too many things of my father's. And so that was a hard process of letting go of things that were important to me. And so I went through that hard part of letting go of things then. And so then when it was time for me to let go of things for me to make my move to France, it didn't feel as hard. I think I felt like my adventure was so much more important and would bring me so much more than hanging on to things that were a part of my life that maybe even helped me become who I was. But still, there were things that I wasn't sure what to do with, sentimental things. And I share this in other videos, and I'll put a link to that in the comments as well, where I decided to store these things because I had 2 weeks before I was getting ready to get on a plane, and I just wasn't really sure what to do with these things that I don't really have much use for now. But my mom's wedding gown that she had heirloomed, and that 3 weeks before I got on the plane and came to France, I had to say yes to the dress party because my mom loved that show, Say Yes to the Dress. And she had her wedding gown with this train from the 50s heirloomed for me for when I got married. And when I got married, I eloped. I went to Las Vegas, and so didn't use that. And of course, I was big then. My mom was tiny when she got married, and so I would never have fit into it anyway. And so this wedding gown was in her hall closet for years and years and years. And then I brought that to my house after she passed, and it was still heirloomed. I'd never seen it in person, just seen pictures. And so I was like, I really want to see this. She talks about it, how beautiful it was. And so I had a Say Yes to the Dress party where I cracked open that heirloom seal and I put it on, and I had lost 75 pounds. So the likelihood of me fitting into it was much higher than when I got married, 75 pounds heavier. And I put it on, and I had a few friends over, and it was so much fun. And then it was like, okay, that's great. I don't have anybody to marry. What do I do with this thing? So I had it re-heirloomed because I didn't want to, have it survived so many decades. And then, because I opened it up and didn't want to pay the price to re-heirloom it. So I had it re-heirloomed. And then it's like, okay, now what do I do with it? And I don't necessarily see myself getting married again. If I do, I don't know that I would go the route of this, really formal wedding gown. But I didn't know what to do with it, so I stored it. That was one of the things. And so stored it and paid storage, and then decided to ship it to France a couple years later. And you all know the story, maybe you don't, but then I had to pay import taxes because I didn't ship in the first year. So if you're struggling with getting rid of your things ahead of a move abroad, then you absolutely want to check out Plan, Pack, Minimize online course. Link is in the description. It's really a beautiful day today. The breeze is picking up a little bit. Fortunately, I remembered to put my mic in and the windscreen in. So hopefully the sound is not too bad. When I was in Nice, one of the things that I noticed was it seemed pretty flat. Now, there are mountains in the distance, and there was one part near the port that seemed to be a little bit hillier. But the part that I walked and experienced, I didn't see a lot of Nice. Nice is pretty big, but the part that I experienced seemed pretty flat. And as you can hear, even though it's not a steep incline here, I'm huffing and puffing because there is a slight incline here. And so that's something else that you may want to consider as you're thinking about where you want to move abroad. Is the place too hilly for you? Are there cobblestone streets, or are the sidewalks uneven? Because as we age, those things start to be more and more important to us. All right. Well, I'm almost home, and I've talked a lot. And if I'm going to add that footage of Easter Sunday service to this video, this is going to be a really long one. So I'm going to end it here, but be sure to give this video a like, comment if there's something that really spoke to you or you have a question about, and be sure to subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you again next time. Take care and bye for now.
Aussi, 10 ans, comme matin,